Hey, my happy shiny puppies. This is Melody Fletcher, your go-to for everything law of attraction and reality creation. And today I've got a treat for you. What follows is an excerpt from one of our live Q&A calls where people just like you, students just like you, were able to ask me questions and I answered them. And today you're going to get one of those. And as you see in the coming weeks, we're going to be rolling out more and more of these. And if you'd like the chance to be a part of one of these Q&A calls for free, then stay to the end of the video and I'm going to tell you exactly how to do that. All right, I'll see you on the other side. Bye.
So the big question is this: how do we, those of us who feel deep down that we're much more powerful than we've been led to believe, and that there is something to this law of attraction stuff, actually create our own realities? What's the process of simply stepping into the reality of our choice? What about those of us who need this process to make logical, intellectual sense? My name is Melody Fletcher. You've got questions about the technology of reality, and I've got the answers. Welcome to my channel where the law of attraction finally makes some freaking sense.
I'm here. Hey.
Hello.
Well, just about everybody's asked some version of my question, but maybe if I asked it in a different way, we'll get another twist on it.
Okay.
I absolutely love how you're teaching this. It just helps bridge, I think, a lot. For a lot of people, it's a great bridge you're building. But and I truly believe this wholeheartedly. I see my synchronicities all the time. I believe it's happening. Have been trying for a long time to become financially independent because I have been dependent on my husband's income. In a divorce, I don't want to worry whether he's going to ever pay me or not. And I get so worried that I'm not capable, which I know is bullshit. But I can see the evidence. I can build and say, this is all happening. All these wonderful things are coming together. I'm a life coach. I'm a Reiki master. I'm teaching energy work. And I'm finding a lot of people interested in my work. And I'm getting more and more affirmations. It's fun when I'm doing it right. But then something will happen where I'll see money's not coming the way I want it to, even on something like my family's selling a piece of property. And the property, because I live in California and because of the capital gains, I'm going to get like half of what everybody else in my family is going to get. And so the message to me is, you're less than, you're not doing it right. And I know this is just my thinking, but I need some extra hints to how to get back to, it's absolutely headed in the right direction.
Okay. So it's not just your thinking.
Okay.
This is one, and I know I get so pedantic about this point. And, sometimes I have people asking me, well, what does it matter? It matters when you get in trouble.
Yeah.
It matters when you can't make it work. That's when it doesn't matter if it's all working fine out for you, then it doesn't matter the order with which things happen, but it matters when something breaks down, because when you're doing the troubleshooting, then the details freaking matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm just pedantic. So, detail oriented, exacting.
Good.
So it's not just your thoughts. Your thoughts are stage 3 manifestation. So it starts with focus.
Mm-hmm.
Then the second stage is emotion. Your focus causes emotion. Then stage 3 is where thoughts, memories, and ideas come in. Memories as well, by the way. Yeah. Then stage 4 is synchronicities, small, easy to miss and dismiss manifestations that are usually meaningful only to you. And then stage 5 is where you get big manifestations and action.
Okay.
Action is stage 5. It comes at the end. You've got to build a progression. This is what we call the progression of a manifestation, right? It's in my book. It's in my course. It's on my blog. It's everywhere. And by the way, anyone who hasn't read my book, read my fucking book. It's all in there.
I've even taught your book. So this is good. Just keep telling me.
I wrote it, to pack it all in there. So people are like, how do you do that? Read the book. And so this is the progression of manifestation. So those thoughts, when you say it's just my thoughts, that's a stage 3 manifestation. You want to start one before that, because anything you can do to bring it down to the focus, what am I focusing on, will help you change the entire progression. Now, we can't really work with focus alone because we have to have some kind of feedback, like putting a laser against the wall. We don't really know exactly where the laser's pointing until we see the red dot. That's the feedback we need, right? Well, you get it with emotions. So that doesn't mean you can't work with your thoughts. But if you are blaming your thoughts and you're trying to think different thoughts and you have resistance that's too big, you will not be able to. And then you just have willpower problems. Now, if the resistance is not big, just by having the intention to think better thoughts, you can refocus yourself. And so that's why it does sometimes work. But when you get in trouble and it's not working, that's when we really need to understand that progression and that order. And so you if you don't change your energy, you're not going to be able to attract different thoughts. Thoughts are manifestations. And so you have to really pay attention to your feelings. This is why what I teach is awareness of feelings. You want to be aware of how something feels when you are going through it, instead of beating yourself up, which it's still it's a very intellectual way of working, which doesn't really get you all the way there. It helps to understand it, but that's not the actual work. The understanding is not the work, it's the prep. It's the preparation you do to be able to do the work. And so you want to allow yourself to actually feel the discomfort of whatever thought, instead of dismissing it and saying, no, bad thought, don't want to think that thought. Think it for a minute, feel it. Feel the discomfort of it. Feel the ugliness of it. What are you doing in that moment? You're engaging with that energy, which means you're going to get more data. You're actually controlling the progression. You're letting it progress just a little bit further. Yeah, it doesn't mean it's going to hit a manifestation instantly. You're getting more data. And then that data you can use using various tools that you probably already have in your tool bit if you're teaching this, to shift that energy, that underlying energy. But you don't even really know what it's about until you've engaged with it a little bit, and you engage with it by feeling it. And it's uncomfortable. It's ugly. It's uncomfortable. It's not suffering. Don't torture yourself, but it's uncomfortable. You don't want to go there. But I've been saying to my students lately, it's a couple of minutes of discomfort to say to yourself, years of torture. Isn't that freaking worth it?
Yeah, this is fabulous, because what I've been doing is trying to go back to the emotion of what I want to feel when I have what I have, as opposed to
and you
sitting with the
yourself to feel the emotion of the resistance.
Yes, get it. Okay, yes. Okay, good. So I'm going to sit with that and feel the misery of it and see what it tells me. Is that what I'm doing? Because I don't want to intellectualize that part. I want to be able to.
Yeah. So, this is why I created an entire course. Yeah, that took us 10 weeks to fully teach. It's a 6-week course, but with bonuses and extras and blah, blah, blah. It was 10 weeks of teaching. Yeah, and that was LOA Academy, which teaches exactly how to do this. So the gist of it is, because I can't give you all that education in 5 minutes, and I'm not afraid to tell you anything, because I'm not afraid I'm going to give it all away. If I can give it away in 5 minutes, it wouldn't have been worth anything. Yeah. And so what you want to do is you want to actually sit with that feeling, and you're going to get more data. Than the data that you get and the form in which it takes, that determines what you do next. So you might have a memory come up. And the key here is that you do not dismiss what comes up as, oh, well, that memory, I don't know why that memory just came up. That doesn't have anything to do with anything. I promise you it freaking does. It might not be logical, but it's related because it came on that frequency. So it might be an insight, it might be a memory, it might be an idea. There's all kinds of different ways. It could be a bodily sensation, that comes up. But some kind of data is going to come up, and that determines what you do next. And there's different techniques that you can use. And basically what you want to do is you want to give it credence instead of putting it away. You want to really look at it. So instead of dismissing the memory, oh, well, that was just me as a little kid. No, I was hurt. Something happened. And let me go ahead and look at it. And you want to bring compassion to it. And then there are all kinds of techniques that you can use, depending on what comes up. But basically what you want to do is you want to be compassionate about it with yourself, and not just push things away because no, that's not right. You know that doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And so you basically say, yes, come on in. Mm-hmm. Yes, memory, come on in. Yes, feeling, come on in. Yes, sensation, come on in. I want to know what this is about. Because ultimately, the better you get at this, the more accomplished you get at this, the more trusting and believing you are, the easier this gets, because you can shift energy without even knowing what it is. You could feel some discomfort, open completely up to it, and it just leaves you, and you're done in 30 seconds, and you never even knew what it was, but you're in a new reality.
Okay, good. So I don't even need to solve whatever that childhood trauma was, or whatever brings that self-worth issue in. That doesn't matter. Just sit with it, let it release, let it move through you, let it recognize it.
And everything that I teach is about surpassing that ultimately. Going around the idea that you have to figure out what it's about, where it came from, and just shifting that motherfucker out so that you don't have to deal with it anymore, so that you can be free of it. And I think more and more, as I see my development, the development of my students, the development of my teaching, we're going in that direction more and more as people are ready for it, that we don't have to have so much of an intellectual explanation, because you're not going to find the origin anyway. Because it's not like you came in as a blank slate and then bad shit happened to you and you made decisions. You didn't come in as a blank slate. You came in and picked up a ton of energy that you wanted to transmute. Your starting point was not neutral. And so who knows where the origin of that was? It's just energy that you picked up that maybe you can remember the first time that was represented to you in some way. Yeah, daddy yelled at me, mom did this, whatever, right? But that's not the origin of it. You're never going to find the origin of it. And so you just want to shift it out. And really, I mean, I know this is a gross metaphor, but I love using it. It's really like taking a poop. Do not think about it. Do not dissect it. You don't have to go through it before or after. Just poop.
Okay.
Yeah?
I get it. Yeah.
You don't have to argue with it. You don't have to know that much about it. Nobody does that with their, well, I mean, there's one lady in England who's got a show he does it, but yeah. And I know all the English people know who I'm talking about. I forget her name. Yeah, but she goes through people's poop on a television show to try to figure out if there's any usable data there. There isn't, by the way. But, you know, it's like nobody does that. You don't sit and argue with yourself. Oh, before I can poop, I need to know what I'm pooping out. No, you don't. Yeah, better out than in. You trust that process. And most people understand that. Yeah. And this is the same. It's like taking an emotional poop. Better out than in. You don't even really know what it is. It's just let it go. And all the intellectual teaching that I do is to get somebody to the point where they can do that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's easier and easier and easier.
And in that too, because this is where I'll talk down to myself, I'm shifting my vibration because I'm allowing that energy to.
Yes. And it's one of the biggest, well, a little skipping that. One of the biggest fallacies in law of attraction work that you're not supposed to feel negative emotion. And it shuts everything down. Yeah. You start the process by going for the frequency of what you want. That's the good feeling thing. Yeah. And you can keep the process going by doing that, you know, periodically. But what it does is it brings up everything that contradicts that. Yeah. And that's negative emotion. That's negative emotion. And now you got to take a look at that. It's kind of like you want to renovate a house and then you open up the wall and you see termites and mold behind it and you go, nope. Yeah, like, don't want to see that. Let's just paint over that. You don't want to do that. You're going to have to tear that wall open. You're going to have to deal with that. Yeah. Otherwise, it's going to cause more problems down the line. Yeah. And yeah, maybe in that moment you don't want, I wish I didn't have termites and mold, but you do. You do. And so now you got to deal with it. And that's the part where you take responsibility. Yeah. For your, not blame, but responsibility for what's going on in your life. This is what it is. I have this negative emotion. I am resentful of my father. That is what is. Those are my termites. I got to take a look at that.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Did I answer your question?
I think so. Yeah. I'll call you back if I don't get past that one. Okay.
Good.
I'm expecting great things though.
Good. Well, I'm glad to help. I love your home. It's very
Thank you.
Thank you. Look at you. You made it all the way to the end of the video. Good for you. So if you'd like a chance to be part of these Q&A calls that we do for free, then all you have to do is get onto my email list. People on my email list get free gifts like this. In fact, I'll even give you another free gift for getting onto my email list, which changes periodically. So I'm not going to tell you what it is so that I can change it, but just check the description down below. Get onto my email list, get your valuable free gift, and you will be invited to take part of one of these Q&A calls yourself where you can ask me whatever you want. Sound like a good deal? I think so. So sign up now, get invited to Q&A call, and get your own answers. Until then, enjoy the videos every week. Thank you for bringing your light to the world.